All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about why bots tend to beat manual trading for the majority of people. So the honest problem with manual trading is that the market doesn't care about your emotions, right? But your emotions care deeply about the market, and that's the problem, right? As a lot of manual traders tend to have, they get a lot of these issues like recency bias, right? If your last trade lost, you tend to hesitate on the next trade. Or you may get FOMO, right? The market just starts moving without you, so you chase the entry. Or maybe your stop loss triggers, so you move it lower, right? And you're hope trading. Or maybe you missed the entry because you stepped away from the screens. You're not sitting, you don't have time to sit in front of the screens and trade all day. Maybe you're just bored, and so you're over trading. You're taking way too many trades. And it leads to a lot of inconsistency. And these are things that you're always going to have as a manual trader or someone who trades without bots. You're always going to have that emotional factor because we're not robots. And if you look at the head-to-head, the difference is almost a completely different change here, right? If you're looking at bot trading, you follow your rules every time. You're never missing an entry. It's going to always exit when you want it to exit. It's going to run while you sleep, so you don't have to be in front of the screens. It's completely emotion-free execution. You can do multiple strategies at once. The only difference is that it doesn't adapt to changing conditions. And again, this depends on essentially how you set up the bot. There are a few bots where you can set them up depending on VIX environments that it will decide to enter or will decide not to enter. And the other thing is the one-off cases. Now, again, if you're a manual trader and you know that some news came out, you can use your kind of logic and your emotion and decide when to get in. Now, that can be decided as a pro or a con. But the thing with bots is that you can always add more filters in, decide if you want to get in or not based on different market conditions. So one thing to keep in mind. Now, the compounding power is also huge, right? Let's say, for example, you have a strategy that has a 55% win rate, and that's your edge, right? But the issue is that's only going to work if you actually take every trade, right? If you decide to skip the trades where your setup is there, it's an A+ setup, but you decided not to take the trade, maybe it's because of emotion, maybe it's because you're not in front of the screen, well, you're simply going to be losing your edge as a trader. So if you have a strategy that's backtested and you know that works, if you set up a bot to execute it, it's going to execute it every single time, right? If you take out emotional filtering and overtrading and FOMO and all the issues that's causing you to diverge from your edge, your win rate is going to be much lower. So the bot actually helps you preserve your edge. Now, a human can also actively monitor only a few positions before attention breaks down. The good thing about bots is that you can have multiple different strategies, multiple different edges running at the same time, and you don't have to worry about it. If you're a manual trader and you have more than a few positions open, you start to forget some of your setups, right? You start to watch too many screens. You start to have some trades affect other trades because you see one trade take a loss and it makes you want to affect the next trade you're in. Whereas if you have a fleet of different bots or a bunch of different, a whole portfolio of bots, all of them work together with no active human involvement. So there's zero stress. You don't have to sit there and do anything. And the other part is speed and precision, right? If you're trying to manually enter into all these trades, well, you're going to miss certain entries, right? You're not going to be able to get in at the right time. You're not going to be able to sit in front of the screens every day and make sure you're trading, all day, because a lot of people have jobs. Maybe you're working. Maybe you want to spend time with your family, whatever it is. And bots fix all of this, right? You know that it's going to get in for you. You know that they're going to work. You know they're going to get in correctly, so they're not going to get in the wrong order. You have all the risk control, so you have stop loss and you have protections built in for you. And it's going to do this every single day. Doesn't matter if you're sick. Doesn't matter if you can't be at the screens that day. Doesn't matter what's going on. The bots are always going to be there, and they're always going to trade for you if you have them turned on. Now, understanding the limitations of automation is also just as important, right? Bots are very powerful tools, not substitutes for thinking. What I mean by that is that you still need an edge in your strategy for these bots to work. If you don't have an edge, you're trading with a strategy that you don't know is working, you haven't back tested it, you haven't forward tested it, well, if you run a bot on that strategy, it's still not going to be profitable, right? You want to make sure that you set up your bot in the same exact way that you have a winning strategy. And you can do back testing in a few different ways to do that. But that's the most important thing to understand when it comes to these bots. And your real edge comes from not having emotions involved in your trading, right? Manual traders always compete on information and reaction speed. Automation, your edge is strictly on the strategy, right? As long as you have a good strategy and you can backtest and you know it works, that's where your edge comes into play. If you're a manual trader, you have to have that, and you also have to worry about being good emotionally. You have to be worried about good with your risk, about being good with your discipline. With trading bots, we cover all of those issues, so you don't have to worry about that aside from just the edge or the strategy. So essentially what we covered was that human emotion is the number one destroyer of the trading edge. Automation lets you run multiple strategies simultaneously. Bots do have real limits. They need human oversight. It's not a handoff. And bots do help you preserve your win rate because you're not diverging from your edge because of emotions. And your edge is an automated trader, right? That's your goal, is that it's strategy design. It's not real-time reactions. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I'll see you in the next one.